Get out of my house, you freeloader! If you have a home to go back to, then go! My husband Harry shouted triumphantly as I stepped into the dining room. I realized that he had finally decided to let his unemployed sister's family move in with us, and that he thought of me as a freeloader. He knew I had nowhere else to go, yet he told me to leave. My sister-in-law Kathy and her husband Bob seemed to do nothing but lounge around on the couch all day. Harry, claiming that accounting is a battle with numbers, skipped work, saying his dress shirt wasn't dry, and went to karaoke with Kathy and Bob. Bob, who never seemed to look for a job, demanded a grilled cheese sandwich for breakfast. Their 3 elementary school-aged kids were always making a mess and dirtying the furniture. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want to be a family with these people. I was about to say the word divorce, but the thought of losing my relationship with Harry's parents weighed heavily on my mind. But I made up my mind. Even if I had to live alone, it would be far better than continuing to live with these people. At least my mental state would be stable. Then I'll get a divorce and go back home. Go back home? My name is Sarah, and I'm 25 years old. I work as an office administrator for a manufacturing company. I'm just an ordinary housewife. Harry is 28 years old, 3 years older than me. He's a young manager working hard as an accountant at a top-tier trading company. We met through a mutual friend and quickly got married. Things went smoothly, but because we dated for a short time, we didn't fully understand each other. I didn't realize that Harry was quite the chauvinist and had a very high ego until after we got married. Anyway, we were about to celebrate our first wedding anniversary. The honeymoon phase had passed and we were living each day without any major issues. The best part about getting married was becoming a daughter to Harry's parents. I lost my parents in an accident when I was young. I hardly remember their faces. I have a few old photo albums. I often wonder if these people in the photos are really my parents. I can't clearly remember them. After my parents died, my older brother, Mike, who is 3 years older than me, raised me. No relatives offered to help us. He supported us with the money from our parents' life insurance and took care of me until I graduated from high school. Now, I've lost contact with my brother. He stopped coming home around the time I graduated from high school. 9 years have passed since then. I once considered filing a missing person report with the police. But he sends me a large sum of money, about $4,000, every month. I figured he must be doing well somewhere and I'd see him again someday. Naturally, my brother doesn't know that I'm married. I haven't told him. My wedding ceremony was held quietly with only Harry's parents and his sister's family present. It's unlikely that any of my relatives would have informed my brother about my marriage. Where are you now, Mike? Not a day goes by that I don't think about my brother. My desire to see him hasn't changed. But I'm also a little scared to meet him. What if he abandoned me? There is a possibility. As long as he keeps sending me money, I want to believe that he's thinking of me somewhere. But reality can be cruel. What if the money he sends is his way of making amends? I'm afraid to take the initiative and start a full-scale search for my brother. Because of this, I haven't changed my phone number or email address since high school. I want to be able to receive a call from him at any time. I've changed my phone a few times, but I haven't changed anything since getting married. One of my joys after getting married was having dinner with my in-laws. My mother-in-law and father-in-law, Amy and Jack, who live nearby, visit our apartment every night at 7 p.m. Good evening, Sarah. We're here. It smells delicious. I can't wait to eat. They say this, then take out their slippers and come inside. Tonight, I made fried chicken, Jack's favorite. I also have beer, so please enjoy yourselves. Having lost my parents, I was happy to have a new family. Of course, I was happy to have a husband, but I was even happier to have in-laws. I wondered if my parents were as gentle as they are. Harry came home, and the 4 of us started dinner. Sarah, can you believe what my coworker told me today? Amy works part-time at a local supermarket. Jack is an executive at a major corporation. Amy often talks about her workplace. Jack, Harry, and I listen to her with smiles. While Harry and Jack drink beer and eat fried chicken, engrossed in their conversation, I help Amy with the dishes in the kitchen. Sarah, how's work going? Amy is very concerned about me being a working wife. She understands how difficult it is to balance work and household chores. Everything's fine for now. Thank you for always being so thoughtful, Amy. It's only natural for a parent to worry. If something were to happen to you, I don't know what I'd do. Amy trailed off, and I smiled at her reassuringly. Amy, I'll be sure to rely on you if I'm ever in trouble. Of course, dear. She returned my smile. Harry often worked late at the end and beginning of the month. He rarely made it home in time for dinner with his parents. On this day, the three of us had dinner together. We were relaxing in the living room, enjoying our after-dinner tea. The intercom buzzed. I went to the entrance and picked up the receiver. Yes, who is it? It's me, Kathy. Open up. It was Harry's older sister, my sister-in-law, Kathy. I hurried to open the door, and there stood Kathy, looking furious. Mom and Dad are here, right? Let me in. Kathy took off her shoes, barged in without slippers, and headed towards my in-laws. I brought guest slippers to the living room and placed them at Kathy's feet. But unbelievably, she kicked the slippers away with her left foot. Kathy, how could you treat the slippers Sarah prepared for you like that? Amy scolded Kathy, but she ignored her. Mom, Dad, listen to this. Bob's unemployment benefits have run out. We can't make ends meet like this. We won't even be able to pay the lease renewal fee for our apartment in 2 months. Kathy's family was desperately trying to get by with their meager savings. She loudly complained that if Bob's unemployment continued, their life would fall apart. Is Bob looking for a new job? He is, but he can't find anything. He's applied everywhere, but he can't even get an interview. What about you, Kathy? Kathy just opened her mouth in shock at Amy's question. We have our own lives to live, so we can't support your family. If Bob can't find a job, then you should work. Are you kidding me? You want me to work like a commoner? I've never even written a resume in my life. I had been listening, but pretended not to hear. I placed a cup of coffee, which I had just made, in front of Kathy. She glared at me. Sarah, you're serving coffee at this hour? This is decaf, right? Decaf? I tilted my head, unfamiliar with the term. Unbelievable. You don't even know what decaf is? It's coffee without caffeine. If you serve regular coffee at this hour and someone can't sleep, what will you do? How can you be so ignorant and still function in society? I apologize. I'll prepare something else immediately. No thanks. You probably don't think too highly of me, yelling at me like that. I doubt you'd serve me decent tea. You might poison me for all I know. I'd rather not. Jack, who had been silently listening, finally spoke up, scolding Kathy. That's enough, Kathy. What do you think you're saying to Sarah? And neither your mother nor I intend to support your family. If Bob can't work, then you should. Kathy pouted, but then said something unexpected. Dad, Mom, you're too lenient with Sarah. You need to teach her how to be a proper wife before she starts taking advantage of you. She might even poison your food. I suddenly remembered something Amy had told me. Listen, Sarah, even if Kathy is harsh with you, don't talk back. It'll only add fuel to the fire. No matter what she says, just smile. And after she leaves, come and vent to me, okay? That's right. No matter how unreasonable she is, I shouldn't talk back to her. I just need to listen and then talk to Mom and Dad about it later. I honestly felt like crying. But my in-laws were here, standing up for me. Knowing they were here gave me strength. After that, I didn't say a word to Kathy. Hey Sarah, can you help us out? Can you give us some money or not? It was impossible for us to financially support Kathy's family. But if I said anything, Kathy would retort with even harsher words. Kathy, that's enough! What are you saying to your sister-in-law? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Hearing Amy's words, Kathy probably thought it was pointless to argue further. She threw the slipper she had kicked earlier at the wall. Then she stomped out of the house. Finally, silence returned to the living room. As I was putting away the coffee cups, Amy looked at me with tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. It seems we spoiled Kathy too much. She's grown into a terribly selfish woman. I'm so sorry for what she said to you." Amy and Jack apologized repeatedly. I managed to say, "It's okay, please don't worry about it." I had used expensive coffee beans for our guests, and I never expected to be spoken to like that. Kathy's harshness wasn't new. But every time I saw her, I wondered how I could get along with her. I was at a loss. One Saturday morning, Kathy's entire family of 5 suddenly showed up at our apartment. Harry and I were having breakfast when the intercom buzzed. Harry said, "It might be my sister," so I rushed to the door. "Good morning, Kathy." I stopped mid-sentence. Kathy and Bob were standing there with large suitcases. Their 3 daughters were carrying colorful backpacks. "Hey sis, we were waiting for you. Come on in, everyone." They all entered our home without a word, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I was shocked that they didn't even say hello or excuse us. "Sarah, Kathy's family will be staying with us for a while. Please make them feel welcome." Staying with us? What does that mean? Bob's unemployment benefits have run out, so they're completely broke. I wanted to help my sister out. So I thought if they stayed with us for a while, it would help them save on living expenses. For a while? Do you mean 2 or 3 days? Or a week? Well, for now, let's say 2 weeks. I immediately thought that I wouldn't be able to see my in-laws during that time. When 5 people join a 2-person household, it becomes a large household of 7. If my in-laws came over every night, that would make 9 people. It would be impossible to share a meal at the same table with that many people. "Harry, this is impossible. Our apartment is only a 2-bedroom. It's not big enough for 7 people. And we signed a lease agreement stating that only 2 people would live here." Harry looked at me with a blank expression. It was the first time I had seen him look at me like that. For some reason, his expression scared me. "We won't know if it's impossible unless we try. Don't say it's impossible until we've tried it." It was the first time he had yelled at me since we got married. I didn't know what to do. I regretted not getting to know each other better before we got married. But as they say, it's no use crying over spilled milk. Okay, let's try it." "Good. Just don't say anything thoughtless in front of me anymore. My sister's enemies are my enemies. That won't change, even if it's you." I just found out that Harry was a serious siscon. I wondered if his parents knew about this. If they did, they would have warned me sometime after we got married. They probably didn't tell me about this side of Harry because they didn't know about his siscon tendencies. As expected, that evening's dinner was split between the living room and the dining room. Harry, Kathy, Bob, and I ate in the dining room. The 3 girls ate in the living room. "Sarah, could you check on the girls from time to time? The youngest one is still in elementary school. She might be making a mess." "Oh no!" I hurried to the living room. As I thought, the older girls were quietly watching TV while eating. But the youngest one was eating with her hands, spilling food all over the rug. She was also getting the sofa and cushions dirty. "Kathy, could you come here for a moment?" "What? You want me to clean up after the kids?" "I'm too busy supporting Bob, who's looking for a job. It won't hurt you to take care of the kids." She had no intention of doing anything. I was disappointed. The sofa, rug, and cushions were all gifts from my in-laws for our wedding. And now they were getting dirty. I had never taken care of children before. Being responsible for even a part of childcare was incredibly hard work. From that day on, I visited my in-laws' house nearby. They were surprised that I visited them so late, close to 9 p.m. They came to the door in their pajamas. "Amy, Jack, I'm sorry for coming so late, but I wanted to give you this." I handed Amy a container filled with homemade side dishes. "Oh, Sarah, this is so thoughtful." "I made these while cleaning up after dinner. I'm sure Harry told you, but Kathy's family will be staying with us for about 2 weeks. So I won't be able to have dinner with you two for a while." "Yes, Harry told us."
"Sarah, are you getting along with Kathy?"
Amy took the container. Jack asked me this question. Kathy constantly mocked me, calling me a gloomy shrew. She didn't help with the housework or chores. She spent her time lounging around, eating snacks with her kids in the living room. Bob was always on his phone in the corner of the sofa. And Harry was always sticking to his sister's side. It was impossible to separate them. "Did you know that Harry is so attached to Kathy?" When I asked this, my in-laws looked surprised and exchanged glances. They shook their heads. I realized that Harry's parents didn't know about his siscon tendencies. "Don't worry, everything's fine. Harry is very kind to me. Please, don't worry." It was a white lie, a blatant lie. But I didn't want to make my in-laws sad. I wanted to reassure them. Jack gently called my name. He handed me something.
"Sarah, please don't push yourself too hard. Keep this voice recorder on while Kathy's family's staying with you. It might come in handy if something happens."
Jack's words touched me deeply. I almost cried as I returned home. From that day on, my housework increased from 2 people's worth to 7. Living with so many people was hard enough, but doing all the housework by myself was far more difficult than I had imagined. First, there was meal preparation. I had to wake up the 3 kids who were sleeping in the living room. I made them wash their faces and brush their teeth. I had to make sure they finished their breakfast before the adults. Then I sent them off to school. The 4 adults would then sit down for breakfast. I didn't have time to make a proper breakfast. I just toasted some bread. But Kathy and Bob didn't like it. They left the table without even touching the bread I had made for them.
"Sarah, I can't perform well unless I have a grilled cheese sandwich in the morning."
That was Bob's excuse. "Sarah, I don't want to eat your cooking. I know you don't like me. What if you poison my food? I'm too scared to eat anything you make." That was Kathy's excuse. I could buy a grilled cheese sandwich for Bob starting tomorrow, but Kathy refused to eat my cooking. I was at a loss as to what to do about this. I talked to Harry about it.
"You're not being friendly enough to my sister. She's just being cautious. Do you think she'd eat anything made by someone who's always scowling?"
Do I really scowl that much? I was taken aback by his comment.
"You do. You haven't smiled at all lately. Do you have a problem with my sister's family staying here?"
He raised his voice. I shook my head, denying it. "No, that's not it. I just haven't been smiling because the housework has increased. It's hard to do everything for so many people by myself. Could you ask Kathy to help out a little?" Harry glared at me.
"Are you serious? Asking our guests to do the housework? Don't you know the meaning of hospitality? Don't you want to make them feel welcome?"
I thought they had overstayed their welcome, but I decided not to say anything. No matter what I said, Harry would take his sister's side. It was pointless to argue and get yelled at. 10 days had passed since Kathy's family moved in.
"Where's my shirt?"
Harry asked me one day. I was doing the dishes when he asked. I thought for a moment about where his shirt might be. Then I turned pale. I turned off the stove and rushed to the balcony. I touched Harry's shirt, which was still hanging there. It wasn't dry yet. Harry always complained if his shirts weren't perfectly ironed. He had never yelled at me about it before, but he would nag me relentlessly. "I'm sorry, I'll do the laundry right away."
"Forget it. I'm taking the day off because my shirt isn't ready. I'll be late for work."
He yelled at me, which he had never done before. But I didn't have time to dwell on that. I needed to iron the shirt quickly so he could wear it.
"Sarah, it's fine. I'm taking a day off." "Hey, big bro, I'm taking a day off, so why don't you, my sis, and I go to karaoke? It's on me, of course."
I couldn't believe what I was hearing as I ironed his shirt.
He was taking the day off because his shirt wasn't dry, even though it would dry quickly if I ironed it. I couldn't understand why he would invite his unemployed brother-in-law and his lazy sister to karaoke and offer to pay for it. What did he think I was? I felt like I was being treated like a stranger, even though I thought we were a family. It hurt. Mom, Dad, Mike, I'm here. Help me. I whispered, my heart aching. But no one in the house noticed my desperate plea. Sarah, I couldn't find one of my socks. I silently got up and went to the pile of laundry. I found the missing sock. Not only did you not have my shirt ready, but you didn't have my brother-in-law's socks ready either? Sarah, you need to prioritize whose laundry you're doing. When Harry scolded me, Kathy laughed. Look at you getting yelled at. Serves you right. Harry, can I have something to eat already? I'm sick of convenience store food and it's expensive. What was I supposed to feed someone who refused to eat my cooking? I have been struggling with this. Kathy had been buying her own food from the convenience store. I was hoping she would continue to do so until they left. But it seemed like I couldn't escape the situation without doing anything. Harry actually took the day off. He went to karaoke with Kathy and Bob. I had already left for work before they left. But later, at dinner, Harry said, "That was so much fun." I listened silently. By the way, Sarah, what's for dinner? Instant rice and frozen side dishes? What's the meaning of this? Kathy was furious again. She always spoke to me like this. I was getting used to it. Well, you said you wouldn't eat my cooking, so I prepared instant food. I can see that. What I'm asking is, why are you always so unfriendly? And why are you always making that face? No one would eat food made by someone like you. That's why I made instant food. That's not the point. If you just asked me nicely, I would eat it. If you just showed me that you're not trying to poison me, I wouldn't be saying these things. Who could have predicted such a nonsensical argument? I couldn't understand her logic, and I didn't want to. I didn't say anything because I was afraid of a divorce. It wasn't that I was afraid of Harry. I just didn't want to become a stranger to my in-laws. Sarah, stop being silent and smile at my sister. Buying food from the convenience store is expensive. You should be helping her save money. I realized that this was the kind of brother he was. I just felt helpless. I couldn't smile at Kathy when I felt like this. I couldn't control my emotions even if it was my husband's order. I glared at Kathy and Harry. I barely ate anything at dinner and went to the bedroom to be alone. Finally, the day came when Kathy's family was supposed to leave. They hadn't paid us a dime for living expenses. I prioritized doing their laundry. It was almost done. Harry just had to fold it and return it. I felt relieved. But suddenly, I felt dizzy. Then, I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was lying in a comfortable bed. My body felt heavy and my joints ached. I could smell the delicious aroma of soup coming from somewhere. Where was I? Sarah, you're awake. A gentle voice reached my ears. I turned my head towards the voice. Amy? I was at my in-laws' house. Harry had carried me here after I collapsed in our bedroom. He had said, "I don't want to catch your cold," and left. Jack came into the bedroom after hearing my conversation with Amy. Are you okay, Sarah? If you need to go to the doctor, I can drive you. Oh, thank you, Jack, but I'm fine. I wondered why Harry and Kathy were so different from their parents. It made me sad. But I was also happy to be with my in-laws after such a long time. I fell asleep, savoring the feeling. My fever was gone by night. I returned to our apartment, feeling much better, but more harsh words awaited me. We're letting them move in starting today, so get out if you don't like it, you freeloader. If you have a home to go back to, then go. My husband Harry shouted triumphantly as I stepped into the dining room. I realized that he had finally decided to let his unemployed sister's family move in with us permanently. and he thought of me as a freeloader all along. He knew I had nowhere else to go, yet he told me to leave. I had been doing everything around the house, cleaning, laundry, cooking. Kathy just lazed around watching TV. Harry, claiming that accounting is a battle with numbers, skipped work just because his dress shirt wasn't dry. Then he went to karaoke with Kathy and her unemployed husband, Bob. Bob demanded grilled sandwich for breakfast, even though he never seemed to look for a job. Their 3 kids were always making a mess and dirtying the furniture. I was at my limit. I didn't want to be a family with these people anymore. I was about to say the word divorce, but the thought of losing my relationship with Harry's parents weighed heavily on my mind. But I made up my mind. Even if I had to live alone, it would be far better than continuing to live with these people. At least my mental state would be stable, hopefully. Then I'll get a divorce and go back to my own home. Your own home? I ignored Harry and went to the bedroom. I started packing my essential belongings into a small suitcase, my bank book, cards, and ID. As long as I had these, I could manage somehow. But I couldn't find the bank book and card for the account where my brother sent me money. Looking for this? I turned around and saw Kathy standing in the doorway, a smirk on her face. She was holding the bank book and card I was looking for. Harry said you were a freeloader, but I take that back. You're actually pretty rich. I rushed over to her and checked the bank book. I couldn't believe my eyes. I had been saving all the money my brother sent me. But over the past 2 weeks, over $10,000 have been withdrawn. All the withdrawals were made at ATMs and convenience stores, according to the bank book. The food from the supermarket was honestly pretty bad, but it was safer than your cooking. You said you were getting a divorce, right? Perfect timing. We won't ask for alimony, so just leave this bank book and card here and get out. A sharp slapping sound echoed throughout the house. Bob rushed in, drawn by the noise. Kathy was rubbing her cheek, glaring at me. What was that for, you gloomy freeloader? Your only value is this bank book. You should be grateful I'm even acknowledging your worth. That's right, Sarah. And all the money in this account is going to my sister. It's a husband's order. I snatched the bank book and card back. I glared at Kathy and Harry. How did you find out the PIN for this card? I was furious that they had used my money without permission. I was a fool to put up with you people. I'll make sure you pay back every penny you stole. Pay back? What are you talking about? Kathy started to say something, but I took out the voice recorder from my pocket. I showed them that it was turned on. I've been recording our conversations for the past 2 weeks, ever since you moved in. Amy and Jack advised me to do it. Mom and Dad? You've been secretly conspiring with them behind my back? Harry was stunned. I ignored him and directed my words to Kathy. If I had known what a siscon you were, I would have never married you. Siscon? I'm the head accountant at a top-tier company. Don't talk down to me. I decided it was pointless to talk further. I went back to pack my things. Then Bob, who had been silent until now, said something unbelievable. Sarah, could you give me the money in that account? Honestly, if I had that money, I wouldn't have to look for a job for a while. I feel bad asking to rely on someone else's money, though. If you feel bad, then don't say such greedy things. It's disgusting. Bob, defeated, backed down. Kathy, still glaring at me, perhaps from the pain or the humiliation of being slapped, remained silent. Goodbye. I left the apartment with only my small suitcase, not saying anything else. But before leaving the building, I wanted to see my in-laws. I went to their apartment. When I told them about my decision to get a divorce, they looked conflicted. But after I played a part of the recording, they agreed that a divorce was the right choice. I had no idea Harry was so attached to Kathy. I'm so sorry you had to go through this, Sarah. After a hug with my in-laws, I left the apartment complex for good. I took a train, then switched to a taxi, and arrived at a house in the suburbs. This was the house where I lived with my parents and brother when I was young. Someone else probably lived there now. But I wanted to reset my feelings before starting my life over. Dad, Mom, Mike, I've decided to get a divorce. My words, spoken to no one in particular, disappeared into the air. I didn't know what the house looked like when I was a child. I was too young to remember. I quietly walked around the house. The lights were on inside. I imagined a family, strangers to me, enjoying their time together. I stood there for a while, lost in thought. I was about to hail a taxi to go to a hotel near the station. Sarah? Is that you, Sarah? A gentle voice, one I could never forget, called out to me. It was the voice of my brother, whom I had longed to see for so long. Mike! I was overwhelmed with emotion, a mix of joy and surprise. I had so many questions. Why was he here? But first I gazed at my brother. We last met 9 years ago. He had grown taller and his face had matured. But there was no mistaking my brother. Then everything went black. The next moment I was in my brother's arms. Sarah, I've been looking for you for so long. I couldn't find you anywhere. I was planning to hire a private investigator tomorrow. Ouch, Mike, that hurts. But this house? I just finished building it yesterday. I moved in today. I wanted to live with you. My brother finally let go of me and invited me inside. The smell of fresh wood and paint filled the air, but it wasn't unpleasant. My brother had inherited the land from our father. He had planned to build a house sooner, but his work delayed the project. Mike, what have you been doing for the past 9 years? I asked him, sipping the hot chocolate he made for me. He seemed embarrassed as he answered. I only finished middle school and have been doing construction work, but I met someone who helped me get my high school diploma. I wanted to repay that person, so I helped them with their work. What kind of work? It's an European company. I was working in France all this time. I was shocked. I never imagined he was so far away. So, are you staying in the US for good now? That's the plan. I started a company over there, and I'm the CEO of the US branch. So, what have you been up to, Sarah? I couldn't explain everything chronologically. I just told him that I was married and had decided to get a divorce today. I'm sorry, Mike. I should have told you about my marriage. No, I should be the one apologizing. Even though I had my reasons, I left you alone for too long. Please, forgive me. We then updated each other on our lives. We concluded that the first order of business was to finalize my divorce from Harry. A few days later, my brother and I went to see Harry, taking the voice recorder and the divorce papers with us. Kathy's family was still living there. The kids were as noisy as ever. Harry led us into the living room. Kathy and Bob peeked in from the dining room but didn't offer us any tea. It seems you've caused my sister a great deal of trouble. I hear that your sister used my sister's money without her permission. My brother's tone was stern but sincere. Harry just listened, a grim expression on his face. She used the same pin for all her cards. It's her fault. Don't act like I used it without permission. I'm not a thief. I wondered how Kathy found out the pin. Maybe she had overheard me telling Harry. So you helped your sister spend my sister's money? You're making it sound like I committed a crime. Isn't it a crime? Using someone else's money, especially your spouse's, without permission is not acceptable. I wholeheartedly agreed. I silently stared at Harry. Isn't a married couple a family? If using family money makes you a criminal, then the world is full of criminals. You are being ridiculous. Kathy burst into laughter, holding her stomach. Bob joined in with his own obnoxious laughter. What was so funny? You're not my family. What? What did you say? I said, you're not my family. Kathy, you spent my money without permission and then told me to get lost. Don't be absurd. You're gonna give back the money that my brother worked hard for. People like you don't get to use that money. What did you say? People like me? I won't let you get away with this. My brother gently placed his hand on my shoulders, stopping me from yelling further. Sarah, calm down. Anyway, I'm going to demand that you pay back the money you used. I'll be consulting a lawyer, so be prepared. I'll also need you to sign these divorce papers.
Harry silently stared at the divorce papers where I had already filled my part. After a sigh, he filled in the section without a word. Then my brother took out a lease agreement from his briefcase. I wondered why he had it. It turned out that the management company for this apartment building was owned by my brother's acquaintance. My brother had planned to visit soon anyway. He was surprised to learn that his own sister lived there. He had received complaints from the neighbors about the noise from the kids. Also, the lease agreement stated that only 2 people could live here, but 7 were residing. He told them they had to move out.
What? Where are we supposed to go if we're kicked out of here?
You can rent another place using conventional methods. But Harry shook his head.
That's impossible. We have no money left.
I thought you were the head accountant at a top-tier company. Harry nodded, but he insisted that they had no money. It was strange. Upon further questioning, it turned out that Kathy had spent all of Harry's savings. They were counting on the money in my old account, the one my brother used to send money to. When Kathy realized that Harry's savings were gone, she targeted my savings. Bob had also spent Harry's money with Kathy. When that ran out, they set their sights on my savings.
This is unbelievable. I'm ashamed that I left my sister with people like you. I'll file the divorce papers tomorrow, then I'll consult with a lawyer. Even after divorce, it's possible to claim compensation for emotional distress.
My brother planned to finalize the divorce quickly, then hire a lawyer to minimize my emotional burden.
You're trying to ruin us, aren't you? Stop it already. We're not going to take this lying down.
But the voice that cut Kathy off wasn't who anyone expected.
That's enough, Kathy.
My in-laws walked into the living room.
Dad? And Mom, too? Why are you scolding me? You should be scolding your son's wife. My name is George. My wife's name is Mary. Do not call us father and mother anymore. What? What do you mean?
Jack handed a letter of disownment to Kathy and Harry.
Dad, what is this?
Harry's voice trembled.
I no longer acknowledge you as my children. Go wherever you want and never show your faces to us again. What? Why, Dad? You're an executive at a large company. You have a duty to help us. I have no such obligation.
Harry and Kathy fell silent at Jack's firm words. We then moved to my in-laws' house to discuss the next steps. It wasn't about demanding alimony or anything like that. I simply didn't want to cut ties with my in-laws. I wanted to continue our relationship, even as friends.
As long as you're okay with it, Sarah, please come visit us at any time.
Amy smiled gently and reassured me that she wouldn't cut off contact with me. They also liked my brother. They were considering formally adopting us as their children. Several months later, the court finalized the amount of alimony and debt that Harry owed me for using my savings. To pay off the alimony and save for a new apartment, Harry was also working at a construction site at night. Bob was also working at the same construction site. They grumbled and complained to each other as they worked. Kathy, faced with financial hardship, had no choice but to start working. She got a job as a cleaning lady to help with their finances. However, she had already changed jobs 3 times in this short period. Her abrasive personality caused problems with her coworkers.
Sarah, welcome! Mike, good to see you as always.
My former in-laws and my brother and I are still close, like a real family. I brought a homemade pound cake today. They have been looking forward to our visit, knowing I was bringing a treat.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. It's good to see you both doing well.
I now call them Mom and Dad, just like my real parents. They treat my brother like their own son.
Sarah, I'm so glad you have these people by your side. We need to repay their kindness.
Yeah,